Okay, well, good evening everyone. 7:30, we'll start. And first of all, as we are new to council, some of us, and this is the first meeting of the new session, I'll introduce myself and then we'll go around. So I'm Mike Johnston, I represent East Ward, one of the 5 councillors on East Ward.
I'm Martin Dowling, I represent West Ward.
Tim Stephen, Portishead North.
Roger Whitfield, I represent East Ward.
And that's more Westwood.
And Paul Cartwright, South Ward.
Thank you all. And start here.
Mike, can I just interrupt you? So can we just check that they can hear us? Because
yes,
get some funny faces.
Please do.
Can you hear us online?
Yes, thank you.
No.
Oh, mute.
Yeah, I think you said yes.
I thought he said yes, but I couldn't hear him.
Okay.
Can I hear you, Bob?
Bob, did you say yes?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he can hear you. We just can't hear him. Unless he didn't have his mic switched on.
Do we have to go around the table again?
No.
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 Okay.
Marvellous, we can hear you now.
For housekeeping purposes, I'm told that I have to tell you where the fire exits are. So through the door and down the stairs. Don't use the. Well, there's no lift here, isn't there? Fine. So apologies for absence. Do we have some apologies for absence?
Yes, we have Councillor Aldridge and Councillor Preston.
Thank you. And oh well, that has to be proposed and seconded. So do I have a proposer in that relation to the apologies for absence?
That's to accept and approve.
Yes.
Okay. Aldridge and Preston.
Preston. Did you catch the proposer and seconder?
I did, yeah. Thank you.
We were all in favour of that, I presume. Declaration of interests around the table. I have none to.
I don't have any.
No. And none that I'm aware of.
No.
None that I'm aware of.
Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda to receive the chairman's report. Number 1 is the time limit on parking bays by Brunel Court. Portishead Town Council received a response from North Somerset Council to advise that they would add the request for change to the current parking time limit to its file. 2, reinstating double yellow lines on the corner of West Hill outside number 78. North Somerset Council has asked for photographic evidence of vehicles being parked outside of number 78 West Hill to support the request for double yellow lines. 3, the planning workshop on the 29th of June is for PAG members, and are you likely to be attending online, members?
Yeah.
Not me, I'll be on holiday.
Well, I'm sure in time you can tell Sharon.
I'll be there.
And the space will be booked for you. 4, the format of our meeting, numbers will be changed with immediate effect from June 2023. The new format will be the Planning Advisory Group. Minute. Oh, I see. This is the way in which they have been slotted in. So the minute number, the month, followed by the year. And that will be a continual roll on. So the minute number will accumulate over time, as I understand, correct?
I think they go per month.
Per month?
Yeah.
Okay. And the next meeting of the PCAA, Parish Council Airport Association, is due to be held on the 15th of June. Final agenda items will be published on Sunday, the 11th of June. Your PTC rep, and I understand this is Paul here, who automatically receives correspondence directly. Can you confirm that, Paul?
I do, yeah.
Fine, good. So item 5 on the agenda is public participation relating to agenda items. Yes, you'd like to speak on behalf of, you tell us which one, obviously.
Just for the tape, can Jeff give us his name?
Yes.
Parkman, West Ward.
Thank you.
Right, well, I was going to go in a certain order, but you've just mentioned some wording. Item 5, public participation relating to meeting agenda items. That needs to be amended to public participation, because in essence, what the council is asking for is that we can only discuss what you've put on the agenda, which means if anybody in the town who wants to discuss something, we can't do it because it's not on the agenda. This is going back to the old Conservative regime before they got ousted. So the wording relating to meeting agenda items, and you said, have I got anything to say that's to do with the agenda? So I have 2 items that are not on the agenda. Does that mean I can't discuss it?
Well, technically, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, in relation to the agenda items, I would assume that if you're going to be talking about other items which aren't on the agenda, then we could be here for hours. Because if 20 members of the public turned up with items relating to issues in the town, then they could just go on and on and on.
People are going to turn up to these meetings because they have something to say about planning issues. But now you're saying, if it's not on the agenda, then you can't talk about it.
Well,
In this case, I should change your name to Mr. Peter Mitchell.
I assume that probably you could bring these issues to a full council meeting and use your public participation period then to
And again,
draw them to
wording
the
states
attention of
relating
councillors.
to meetings on the agenda.
Councillors, I call upon anyone who might have a comment in relation to this.
Yeah, well, firstly, I believe.
One second, if I may, sorry, sir. Would you just say your name before you speak, just because it's my first time here and I just want to make sure that I capture everything correctly, if that's okay.
Yeah, Roger Whitfield.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So public participation, I think, is normally at the chairman's discretion. So you should be able to allow it if you want to allow it. I think that's normally the way that it goes with these things. As far as public participation in a planning meeting goes, because this is a planning meeting specifically to deal with the planning applications that are on the agenda.
Something to discuss on planning that's not on the agenda.
Then normally we have just those items discussed that's on there, and I think that's the way it's always been. I don't think we've changed this, have we?
It has changed because you and I, when we attended these things in 2014 and 15, just used to say public participation.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been on
Oh,
council for a year now, but I think whilst I've been to these meetings, I think it's always been
Historically, I think
that
you're right.
that wording on the agenda. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, if I can
Yeah.
just assist here, Chairman, I think it's maybe focused, and that is pretty standard throughout clerking and throughout councils, that only agenda items are discussed, because it would be unfair to allow a discussion regarding a matter that maybe somebody else wanted to talk about into the public domain. So the recourse would be to put a request into the clerk if he wanted to specifically raise a matter that could possibly already be answered external of a meeting. But there is a discretion for the chairman if he so wishes to hear something, but then that might not necessarily appease somebody that wants to bring a matter before council, because there may not be an immediate response. So whether that would satisfy.
I've got 2 things then. One is on the agenda. And
That's entirely up to the chairman whether he wishes to allow
I've
that.
got one that's on the agenda and one that's not.
Let's hear that one initially.
Right, the one on the agenda is 23P 0717 CM2A, which luckily, and thank you,
Can you
council
just
objected.
can you just tell us which one that one is?
Yes, I can. It is, where are you? First floor, 56 High Street. The previous council objected. It's change of use from office to residential. Now, fortunately, in this instance, the council resolved to object. There seems to be a trend where the planning application is going through for change of use from office to residential, because apparently, and I don't know the legalities, but if you're building something on a high street, you don't need to put car parks. Hence that monstrosity next to Solution, which has got 9 bicycle spaces for 11 flats. So,
Yeah.
Page 10.
page 5 on the agenda, I've got.
Oh, we've got that on agenda.
Oh, right, okay.
Sorry,
I'm glad it's objected to. I'm just concerned there seems to be a trend.
Are you looking at the agenda from the previous meeting?
So, yeah,
I think you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
page 10 on ours.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is I'm glad it was objected to, but there seems to be a trend,
Yeah, I agree on that one.
which is something that we need to, it's strange because you have to take each application as its own. But there should be a facility where you can merge 2 or 3 of these things together and say, as a whole, it's not a good idea. If you say yes to one, you end up saying yes to 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm just saying there seems to be a trend that we need to be aware of.
Well, I seem to recall that under the Johnson administration, he was encouraging retail units that are closed down to be used for accommodation, wasn't he?
Yeah, but the difficulty is you don't have to supply a car park. So where do the cars park on the high street? And where do the people who want to shop in the local shops for the local community, where do they park?
Well, you're raising different issues which
I'm just saying
open
there's
a can of
a trend
worms.
that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, okay.
The item quickly that's not on the agenda is in the classified section of North Somerset Times about 3 weeks ago, there was an article from Churchill Retirements. So they're looking to submit a planning application for the corner of Church Road South and High Street.
You're right.
Now, we know what happened to Aldwych.
Yeah.
For those who are not familiar with Aldwych, is that monstrosity across the road from Subway, which was meant to be a retirement home, but looked like Aldwych, hence the name. We also know there's a planning application that's already been submitted, as you come into Port said. I can't remember the name of the road. Around the trees,
Conference Avenue?
just off there.
Should be.
And now there's talk about this one.
Well, shall we
Now,
wait?
the ones we've got aren't full. So I'm hoping that when this comes to fruition, that the town council and the district council will say enough is enough.
Well, it's obviously going to come in due course to planning, and you'll be able to then discuss it in more detail, as indeed we will.
I'm not sure if people are aware of it, but yes,
Yeah.
the planning application.
Yeah,
Well, there is a board there, isn't there, saying that
Planning quite more land.
they've got the land.
Yeah,
for the building.
Plenty of land investment.
The conversation was brought up a couple of meetings ago, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think the old council are well aware of it. I'm not sure if the new ones are.
Yeah, I'll just bring it to your
The
attention.
consultation ran out on a number of bulletin groups, I think. And a number of us spoke in groups about it as well, and responded to the consultation about it with just those statements.
I just left at the point it was on the classified section between the sports section and all the adverts where nobody reads.
Good point.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Right, item 6 is to consider and approve the minutes of the last meeting. Now, 2 of you were at that last meeting in May, and that's Roger and Bob. So, are you happy? Are you both happy with those?
Second.
All in
All
favour?
in favour, 2 of us?
Okay,
Is seconded.
thank
So I
you.
guess for the minutes, Roger is proposing and Bob is seconding.
And with me whilst I sign them off then.
Lovely, thank you.
I haven't dated it.
That's fine.
Okay, so then we move on to the applications under item 7, starting with Tallis House on Woodlands Road.
Before you do that, you should ask for public participation online, which is what I'd like to say something.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay, yes, I've forgotten, of course, that we're online. Yes, carry on, Bob.
It's just with relation to item 4 and the time limit on parking bays in Brunel Court. The NSC has a typical response to many things to do with transport, which is it goes on the list. Last group of councillors waited 4 years for things that were on the list. I think it's totally inappropriate to take that as an answer into the planning committee and say that it's gone on the list. That's no answer to the residents of the home that are suffering the problem, and something should be taken up to make sure that it's done a lot sooner than that.
Well, you forgive me for saying, Bob, that I'm not familiar with the discussions at evolved around this particular incident. Whether Sharon can give me a bit more information.
Yes, Chairman, certainly there's no problem in us rewriting back to North Somerset Council, asking for clarity about the matter. It's not a problem.
Yeah, we'll do that then. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
thanks.
Do we need to vote on that, Sharon?
No.
Okay.
So Tallis House on, and any others online? No. Tallis House on Woodlands Road, retrospective, most of this. I believe some of the work is still yet to be carried out. Some has already been done. Presumably some of you have walked around and seen it. The difficult to probably
No problem.
do anything with it, really.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any objection to what they've done and what they're planning to finish
No,
up
I
and
don't think
do.
there were any online
No,
objections
there
to it
weren't.
either.
No.
No.
So are we in favour of voting in favour of this? Can I have a proposal then and a second of all in favour of no objection? Thank you. The second one on the list is 9 The Martins, 0881. Proposed erection of a single-storey side extension. And it's a corner plot. I thought it was a single story, it's modest, it's fairly unobtrusive. There's a small glass lantern in the centre of the roof, and it's faced in brick to match the existing house. I don't have an issue with it. Any other comments?
No, I've had a look too, and I can't see a problem with it at all, really. I think
No,
it's all in keeping with the present house, isn't it?
Yes.
The materials used and
one
stuff.
of many very
Yeah, I
similar
was gonna say, yeah.
applications that have been passed.
Yes, an extension to their lounge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, propose a seconder.
Who's proposing, sorry?
I proposed it,
Dowling,
second or it's the other way around, I don't know.
Roger.
And Roger. Whitfield seconding.
Sorry,
Your vote?
I forgot to
For
say.
no objection, yeah?
Yeah.
All in favour? No objection? Yes, unanimous. Okay, third one is 0897, 1 Seaview Road. This is a request to discharge condition 4 construction method statement from application made last year, 2037. There's a list here, you've presumably seen it. It's related to site deliveries and storage of materials, managing any complaints arising from the works, maintaining access to neighbouring properties, communication to neighbouring properties before construction, car parking for operatives and visitors to site, and the times of site operation. So it's all fairly sort of standard in relation to development.
Sorry, Matt, I was going to go ahead. Is the site operation times, it's 7:30, is that early or is that pretty standard?
Well, it's 7:30. Wouldn't want any earlier than that, would you?
No.
No, I don't think so.
But I think it's still slightly conditional to the weather. I think some builders like to get on site early so they're not there in midday.
Yeah.
Can take a bit of a longer break at midday when it's
It's all that condition 4.
right.
All of that condition 4.
That's how it's been submitted, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are we all in agreement about any purpose?
Yeah, yeah.
Propose a seconder?
Darling Whitfield.
All in favour?
Snowden.
Which is
Whitfield and Snowden.
all in favour of no
Whitfield and
objection?
Snowden.
Yeah.
Unanimous again, thank you. Unit 5 Middle Bridge, Business Park, that's off Bristol Road, 0678. Prior approval for the installation of 49 PV solar panel modules onto 3 sides of the pitched roof of the building. I have no objection to this. I think it's
I
part of the
know
course, really.
they asked Bristol Airport if
Yes.
it's okay,
Yeah.
and they had no objection either.
Yeah,
So,
fine.
yeah, no, I think it's a great thing to get more solar panels out.
Blind the air crew, I think, or something.
Okay. Rosa, seconder, Tim and Roger, all in favour? Yes, unanimous again, thank you. Moving on to Caithness Close, 21, that's number 0937. Proposed demolition of existing access stairs and park boundary wall planted area. Creation of an off-street parking with permeable hard standing, 3 meters by 6 meters, EV charging point and dropped curb, proposed erection of green living wall, 1.5 meters tall, with integrated irrigation and external lighting. This is tucked up in the hammerhead of Caithness Close.
Yes.
I felt it was very reasonable what they were proposing. I'd have no objection to it.
Yeah.
Do any of us have any comments?
I was more than happy with, with
Yeah.
that. I think it's a really good, sensible move.
Yeah, and it removes the vehicles from the corner.
Yes, which was
Yeah.
causing, I think, congestion with the
Congestion, yeah.
recycling lorry and
Yeah.
refuse, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, proposer and seconder again.
Bob
Bob and
and
Tim.
Snaden.
Who's first, sorry?
Bob and Snaden. Okay, Cartwright and Snaden, sorry.
All in favour?
Okay.
Yep, all unanimous again. 19 High Street, application 09554, retrospective application for the relocation of existing air conditioning unit to the rear elevation, repainting of window surrounds and internal reconfiguration and redecoration. This is copy number 1, as you probably gathered, as is the next one. Well, they've done it, haven't they? So it's a thriving business already. So any comments on this?
Yeah, this is an objection just for fun.
Yeah, I mean they've done it anyway, but had they not have done it and gone the other way round, I don't think anyone would have objected anyway.
No,
Again, they need the business name out the
yeah,
front,
sure. I
and
agree.
they obviously needed to move the aircon unit.
Just we need the business either side at the moment, so that's a good thing as well.
I think I was told that they had to do it extremely quickly for some reason. I don't know, maybe it was the city council, who are the landlords. I don't know. Okay, so again, proposer and seconder, Martin and Tim, all in favour? Yes, unanimous. And ditto the second one for the application of the signs outside, 0964, all in, yeah, proposers. All in favour, yes, unanimous again. Next one is 87 Phoenix Way, 1009, proposed installation of electric vehicle EV charging points. See paperwork. How many of you have seen this? Yeah.
I'm a bit
Okay,
confused about this one. Just
right.
I've seen it.
That's if you want to pass it around, just that's where the location is.
I think you've seen this one,
Yeah.
haven't you?
I didn't feel that it was causing any comment, any problem. However, I picked up on 1 or 2 points in relation to access onto the road, if the car's parked there. And I don't know what the width of the road is, although Emma, you sent a very good photograph of it. Right, Roger.
During the election campaign, I had the dubious pleasure of leafleting this area more than once, and I do recall the position and that most of the time that I was there, the car wasn't parked there, so they're probably at work and parking it there, mainly in the evenings. The access road is very, very, very narrow.
Could you?
Yeah, very narrow because a house sort of sticks out into it. But where they're proposing to park the car is past there, where it widens out again.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, they're sort of across the front of their own garage.
Yes,
and across the side of their garden.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely not compromising the access way any more than the road is already compromised by the fact it's extremely narrow and the corner's very tight to get around.
Yes, it looks like it from the blown up version.
My only concern really was that you've got actual parking, marked parking directly opposite it. And if there was space to park a car there, then in essence it would have been a marked bay.
Yeah.
You've got a garage, which is obviously the resident's garage as noted in the plans. But then if it is their garage, then, but as I said earlier, no, it's not necessarily part of the plan, but if that is their garage, then the option is to put the charging point within that garage. They might use it for storage, they might use it for something else, but yeah, it's just my experience in terms of the actual sort of issue that it might cause with parked cars.
Well, initially I had no objection to it, but I didn't realise quite how narrow that thingy was, and I think I assumed they were going to use their garage as well. So obviously they're not in this case.
Yeah.
Should we?
The plan is to put the charging point on the inside, isn't it? And then run the cable through under the gate.
Under the gate,
and,
to charge
and
the
then
car
plug it in. Well,
Do you think we should have a further look at this? Or?
well, I think if we sort of take Roger's point in consideration, you feel that the vehicle could get round there fairly easily. In view of the fact that they're tucked away.
As I say, it's a very narrow access way, but where they're parking, it widens out quite considerably. So the bigger problem is like a fire engine getting around the corner in the first place without taking the side off one of the houses.
Although of course it might come in from the other direction. I don't know.
It's a really weird layout.
Do we? So how do we feel about this? Do we have a? I don't object to it.
I'm not sure we could come up with a real planning reason to refuse it. That's the problem.
I don't think so.
Because it's an EV charger. They've shown them parking there, but they could have equally parked the other way in front of their own garage, which would be acceptable, which would probably compromise the road even worse.
That is noted as in the actual residence application. That's noted as not being part of their property.
What
where they're currently parked.
Yeah, that's on the road. Yeah. And also there's no parking restrictions down there, which is the other issue, isn't there? If one would assume that if it was a problem that had been flagged in the past, there would be a parking restriction to deal with it.
This is one of the roads where there are no pavements, isn't it? It's just
It is,
whatever the terminology is for them.
Is there?
There's loads of them around there like that.
We have a few.
That's what I was just going to ask with this.
Bob, I was just wondering, Sharon, is there any way that you can contact North Somerset and see if we have an up-to-date point of chargers, so the issues that might be occurred? Because obviously, as we gain more and more electric cars, more and more chargers will be fitted to houses, and I should suspect that the rules will slightly change. I'll give you an example. Us on Underwood Road, we still have overhead electric cables. So our problem is we can't have too many electric charging points in the road, because obviously that would zap the electricity in the entire road. So I'm just wondering if North Somerset has an up-to-date format of questions and answers for charging units within residential areas. I'm just wondering if we could possibly find someone with some expertise on that.
That's not going to help you with this, though, is it?
Noted.
Yeah.
Is it relevant to this incident? Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to get that information?
Yeah, we do.
Phoenix Way is not the widest of roads in Portishead. As you know, that the buses can't go through there anymore because of the lack of space. What the lady said concerns me as well. She said there's parking bays either side of the road. So if you can have a car this side, it's going to make it narrower. And you're also running the risk of setting a precedent down that narrow road.
It is off Phoenix Way, you know that, don't you?
It just says Phoenix Way.
No, it's off it.
Location is.
I'll show you, Jack. It's a really weird one. It's just here. Yeah, and this is Shannon Walk, but that is the next road.
Yeah.
Councillors, are you minded that this will approve it, perhaps subject to the highways having no objections to it?
Yeah.
I'll propose that then.
So I think we need someone with a bit of expertise on updating us with the issues that might guidance that might occur in the future with public charging points at their houses.
You can turn me out,
agree with that
Chairman,
one.
please.
So, we're just waiting for Roger to return. Yeah. We're minded to approve it, subject to highways having no objections to this.
I think so.
That would be sensible, wouldn't it?
Mine is not approvable, it's no objection, we can't approve.
Sorry, it's no objection. Do we still have a proposer? Yes, proposer and seconder,
You're
yes.
proposing and seconder? Cartwright, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right, the next one is Rodmore Road, 18, 1033, proposed erection of replacement front raised decking to form double garage and storeroom beneath. House is well set back, and there's already a decking outside on an elevated platform, and they basically want to remove it, probably go down a bit deeper, put a double garage in and a storeroom, redeck it, and it extends out an additional 2 meters for the double garage bit, and then dips back into the existing profile because of the bushes there. From the neighbouring properties, it's making very little difference from what I observe, and I don't object to it, and I wondered how you feel about it.
I agree.
Rob, you have a comment?
Yeah, no, just the neighbours, I think, had some concerns. They were basically in favour, I think, but they had a couple of concerns about that. So I thought that we should probably have no objection, subject to the neighbours' concerns being addressed.
Oh, right, fine.
I wrote a note, but I can't quite remember what they.
I was just going to ask you that. Can you elaborate at all? No.
Would that just be the height, do you think? Is that
I think it was to do with privacy and maybe the height of the fences, or either being too high or not high enough, something like that.
I think it's more or less. I think the decking's more or less the same level, isn't it, as the existing?
Yeah, it was raised by the neighbours that they thought it'd be a good idea. So
okay,
if they could deal with that, that would be great.
So we'll put that on as proposed and seconded. Then there'll be no objections, subject to neighbours.
Yeah.
Darling?
Martin? Sorry.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Yes.
Emma? Unanimous again.
Yeah.
Next one is 0579, 12 Northfield Road. Proposed direction of raised decking to the north elevation. So this is at the front of the property. Northfield Road is off Hillside. I've not been round to look at this particular proposal, but again, looking at the plans and studying them, I don't feel that there's an objection to it. And I think we could also add on to that one what Roger's just mentioned about the neighbours, subject to neighbours not objecting, but there aren't any objections online. So
I couldn't see a problem with it personally.
So
yeah, no, slightly unusual to put decking out the front, I think, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's got a little glass balcony around it. Maybe you've got more of a view there.
They're quite some way from the property opposite as well. So
yes, they are. Yeah.
It's not like they're sort of right looking into somebody else's.
Well, they do that to get a better view, aren't they, over the hill? Yeah.
Well, I think it's towards the channel, isn't it? So I think they've got that estuarial view. So again, proposer and seconder.
I'll propose.
Bob and Tim, all in favour? Unanimous, thank you. So the next one, 28 Slade Road, 1048, proposed direction of a loft conversion with small side dormer. Many precedents have already been set on this particular road, section of road anyway. There was a certificate of lawful development for a proposed loft conversion with one rear dormer approved in 1051. That was submitted on the 23rd, so they'd already gone through that. And now this is the detailed drawings for the extension in the roof. No comments online, no objections online. Any comments from the floor?
Seems to be at the back for the most part, doesn't it? It's only the window really that's sticking out the side.
Certainly, as you saw in the photographs on the application, many of the neighbours have already done it. Yeah. Right, proposer and seconder.
Oh, yes.
Right way around was that then?
Either or.
I think you just got there.
All in favour? No objection. Passed unanimously. Okay. Next one is 1070, 9 South Avenue. Proposed direction of a first floor side extension and alterations to
We've
the
missed-
ground floor.
This one.
Chair, we missed 4 Sanderling.
I have
Yeah.
indeed. I beg your pardon, 1053 4 Sanderling Place, which I had to look up. I didn't know where it was. It's down in Eastward, isn't it? So I should know. And it's proposed erection of a single-storey extension again. I found the plans very difficult to determine and working out what was what. And I didn't feel that it was an issue particularly what they're proposing. And I didn't feel it was going to be particularly visible from behind the brick boundary wall. So I have no objection to it. Any comments?
Yeah, no, equally, I struggled with the plans for a while, but lots of Google Maps and street places and stuff like that, I finally got it straight in my head. I think it was me that was the problem, not the plans. But yeah, no, it looks absolutely fine.
Yep, okay. Any proposal and second, please? Second up. Okay. All in favour? Yeah, unanimous.
Blackmore, second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then moving on to South Avenue, 1070, proposed erection of first floor side extension and alterations to the ground floor. My comments, right, well, I did have a comment. For the front elevation, for the street view, I think it's exceedingly boring looking, but I can't say that that's going to be a planning objection. I don't know what this roller shutter door looks like. If you want to look at the plans, there they are. Here.
Thank you.
But I don't think that's a reason for objecting, is it? I mean, again, the precedent has already been set in the street. A number of them have gone up over the top of a garage.
Yeah, that's existing.
I'm assuming because this is different from most of the ones in the street, that they have at some point extended up to and over the garage. And this is then a further extension over the garage and of the garage area. But I couldn't find any previous plans for that, so I remember it being that garage being there at least 20 years ago. So when it was changed before, it was probably lost in the mist of time now. I mean, it's quite a big additional change, but
it is, yes.
It's still not out of the ordinary for quite a number of things that we do, and we're not. It wasn't a small house that they're making a substantially bigger one. It was a large one they're making bigger. So I don't think it falls foul of any of our policies either.
And whilst I've got the elevations there, I don't have the actual plan. Oh, yes, they are there. Is it still incorporating a garage? No, it doesn't, does it? So they are potentially, they're losing a fairly large garage, aren't they?
A substantial driveway.
Is that going to compromise parking on a fairly busy street or anything along the edges of that?
Yeah, they got at least 2 cars on the driveway.
Just say at least.
Okay. Right. So for any further comments from the floor? No. So will we approve? Yes. Minded to approve? Yes. Proposer and seconder for that one. Okay. All in favour? Yes. I should abstain on that one.
You're going to abstain, are you?
Yes. But it was still passed.
Yeah.
Right, item 8 on the agenda, late planning applications and consultations. North Somerset's Council's planning register for plans registered the week commencing the 29th of May. So these have come in, and we'll consider what's here, which is only really one, which is 1105, full application for Westways, proposed erection of an external decking in the garden. I was unable to locate this. I don't know whether it's a house on Battery Lane, but it didn't flag up on North Somerset's site. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, I checked online with the reference number given, and it came back as no results returned.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find any plans at all for it.
Yeah, unless it's an error with North Somerset Council.
So I wasn't alone then.
No.
or a typo.
You're just checking, are you, Sharon?
I was going to have a little look, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it was an error, they might have rectified that.
You're obviously aware of the other ones being there just to notify us, but there's no need to further discuss the application. Pierre Close, Nightingale Rise and South Road.
Yes, I got 23P 1105 FUH as the reference, and that's still coming back with no results found.
Okay.
Unless we've got the reference wrong, of course.
Have you just punched in that same reference number, have you?
Yeah. What was I tried the address, didn't I?
Well, just Westways BS27JD.
It's like 4 of you down.
I mean, if it was a house on Battery Lane, which I sort of flagged up, then you would thought it would have had it written down as Battery Lane.
This previous planning application from 28th of April 2022,
Relating to that property.
Beachside Battery Lane.
That's a different one, yeah. So,
Part of Garden of Westways Battery Lane, decision issue date 13th of February 1962. Not sure we want to bother about that one.
That's what's come through there on the planning register, which it says 1105, which is Westways Battery Lane, Portishead, proposed erection of external decking in the garden.
Oh, well, Roger and I weren't able to find it.
No, that's on the planning register.
that's on the planning
So
register, yeah.
that's what they've sent you, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it is on Battery Lane then. So how do we resolve this one?
Well, it did actually only come in this week,
So I have to email them.
which means that there is the chance that they've not loaded it. So you can request a time extension on that basis.
Well, we'll have to.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll have to. Okay, so that's that one sorted. Moving on then.
Okay.
Item 9, consultations. 9.1 being an advisory disabled parking bay application on Brendan Road. Sharon and I went to visit the site, and it's uncontentious, really. It's just a bay on the road outside their property. So, propose from the seconder.
Yeah, oh, sorry, God, we're all trying now.
That one first.
And presumably all in favour? Yes,
Yeah.
unanimous. Okay.
On Cartwright, thank you.
9.2, Town and Country Planning Act 1990 appeal under section 78. It's 2830 on the High Street. That's Max Minivar's, the bookshop behind there. It was objected to on the 7th of September last year. The Town Council's reasoning is extensive. I can give you a briefing on it. It's gone to appeal, as you can gather. The objection, I'll read it out. Based on the reasons of highways and pedestrian safety due to issues around access and egress to the property and an inaccurate estimate of vehicle movements. This is for a pair of houses adjoined, semi-detached, at the back of the plot, with the Workman's Club behind, and it's quite a tight space. Well, actually, I think there's a little bit of a garden at the back of the property. It was also noted that there are 3 apartments above the property, that's above the bookshop, which will increase the vehicular movements around the property. I don't know where the current apartment owners park, if anywhere. And the driveway to the premises is also very narrow. Have you seen photographs of the site? It's very, very narrow. Access and egress are particular issues given to the proximity of the property to a zebra crossing and Domino's Pizza, which is next door. Inadequate access and egress to the property could create a danger to pedestrians. Additionally, condition 4 of application, the one I read out earlier, specified that there would be no bedrooms on the ground floor in accordance with section 14 of the National Planning Policy Framework. The flood risk assessment with this application has no mention of the risk of flooding on the ground floor bedroom. There is a bit of a slope to the site. A full formal traffic analysis should be produced. And the neighbours' views are, the principal planning points made are as follows: loss of privacy, cramped development and overdevelopment of the site. So those were the objections going in from the town council. The ones from district are extensive, and you don't want me to read all this lot out. So I then call for a proposer and a seconder to agree that the objection still stands. I think that's the essence of it, isn't it?
Yeah, we only need to, yeah, that's correct, yeah, because as long as you're not going to change it, modify it or withdraw it, then...
No, certainly not.
Which I don't think we're going to be doing any of those three things.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so proposer and seconder for continuing those. All in favour of...
Proposing and Snake
Yes.
seconding.
And unanimous again, yes.
Yes.
Okay. We have been joined by 3 additional members of the public. Are you here to make any comments in relation to some planning applications that are on the agenda?
We're here to see Tim and Roger after the meeting.
Fine, okay. Thank you. Welcome, by the way. Okay, so planning applications not requiring consultation. This is item 10.1. A couple of TPOs, certificate of lawful development of external insulation, a re-rendering of external walls. Any comments on any of those?
No. I think so.
And then you've got a list of the district's decisions, which are information only. Any comments on those on the floor? Item 11 is miscellaneous for members' information.
No.
Matters for the next meeting is item 12. Well, we've got the late application, which we've already made a comment on, which brings us to the final item, which is the date of the next meeting, which is going to be chaired by you, Martin, because I'm away in France.
I'll just put here now, Martin.
It's all right. Panic set in already.
So if there are no further comments from any councillors, then we'll close the meeting at 8:18.
Received?
I'll just switch the meeting off then.
Thank you for attending online.